Good morning, everybody. It's Amy with Palmetto Acres, and I am out here today trying to fix my green stalk. I don't know if you can tell. When I planted this one, it was with like micro dwarf and dwarf tomatoes and peppers and some basil, and I've got green onions in the bottom of it. Well, some of my dwarf tomatoes are not as dwarf as I thought they were going to be. And you can see here I've got one that's completely tumbled out of the pocket. I've actually got another one right here that's tumbled out, and it's not only hanging from the pocket, I'm afraid it's going to fall out. The roots are holding on, but it's also covering the plants that are underneath this. So I got some of the uh, plant supports that Greenstalk makes for tomatoes, and I'm gonna put some on and see if I can prop these things up better, and hopefully things will grow better. So I'm gonna grab those and get started. They come in this pouch. You can see this is what they look like. And so I'm gonna figure out how to get them put on. This is my first time using these, so we're gonna get them put together and see what I can do with it. So it says first you attach the 6 extenders. So that is what I'm trying to do right now. Okay, there's that one. Okay. Then I attach these. is actually really easy to put on. I'll put this over here before I put that last piece down. There we go. There we go. Alright, so the support is now on. And you can see this tomato is getting taller too. So I'm just going to lean it out over the support. And I'm going to tear this leaf off because it's going into the pocket of this pepper. So we're going to tear this off. I do prune my tomatoes because being in South Carolina, we get really humid, so I like to keep a lot of airflow with my tomatoes. And peppers. I've already thinned out my peppers pretty good. But, so this tomato now has support. Now I need to get this tomato coming up instead of hanging down. And I'm hoping I'm not going to mess up the tomato. Let's see. I'll go ahead and pull this plant, or this leaf off. Okay. This sucker off. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to put another support onto this. It's not gonna go up that high because it's been hanging down for too long. Thankfully, I did buy 3 supports. I bought the set of 3. So I'll be sure I'd have enough. So I'm gonna have to put another support down lower. So I'm going to get that one put together real quick. Wait till I don't stretch my hands. Pepper plant that has grown up tall and I don't want to squish it with this support. So I'm having to be a little more careful with this one. There we go. Okay. And this support will help some of my peppers too that appear to be getting tall. Okay. Now I'll see if I can pull this through and get it supported. Okay. So now I'm weaving this leaves and stems through the supports so that this plant will be supported. So now we can see it's not hanging down anymore. It's not covering these peppers that are under here. So now I gotta fix this one too because it's covering one of the peppers under there. Oh, I've got tomatoes growing under here. All right, so I gotta be really careful with this because I do not want to hurt those tomatoes. Let's see. Okay. Now I see some discolored leaves, and I always try to pull off discolored leaves just because I don't want any disease introduced. So any discoloration I try to get rid of. And there is a sucker that has grown right there that I think I'm going to leave alone just because it's gotten so big. I can see flowers starting. But this definitely does look better. I'm going to turn this around so I can show you a little closer up. Okay, so you can see I've got my two supports on there now. And I'm going to come a little closer, especially over here is where my troublesome tomatoes were. So you can see in here, the dirt is coming up a little bit where roots have started. So I'm going to put a little more dirt in here just to cover that up so there's not a gaping hole. I'm gonna bring a little shovel over and do that in a little bit. And same thing over there, it's coming up. So, see, there's the tomatoes I was talking about. Oh, there's one. I'm gonna put that on the other side of the support. So you can see how the support is working for the plants now. And that is what I needed. Because now the peppers underneath are not being covered up by the plants. Now I am gonna get rid of this leaf because it is covering, I may have to get scissors in here so I don't tear that off. It's covering, this pepper is the same as this one that has gotten so tall, but it's really little. See? And it does have a pepper on it. So I needed to uncover that plant so it can grow better. So that is what I was doing along with supporting these tomatoes, is making sure that these peppers are not going to get covered up and not grow. So now, I think while I have you out here, I'm going to go ahead and do my June garden tour. So, coming from this Greenstalk, you can see it's gotten a lot more full. And I showed you some of the tomatoes over there. Here's some growing right here. This is a Bohemian Baron. No, that's the pepper. The Bohemian Baron is this pepper right here. This tomato is called Little Red Corvette. It's actually growing from down here, but it's gotten tall, so it is, I'm gonna go ahead and it'll already be on the support if it gets bigger. But you can see I've got tomatoes right here, and I've got some over there. Now this one I think is a true micro dwarf, simply because you can see how little it is. It's not growing huge and tall and hanging over or anything. It's just little. And it does have some tomatoes on it. It's called Raspberry Beret. I have not tried any of these tomatoes or peppers that I have in this Greenstalk. So this is a new adventure all the way around. Using a Greenstalk and trying these varieties of tomatoes and peppers. Now this pepper is called Prism, and it has gotten taller than I thought it would. But you can see it's kind of blurry, but it's starting to get peppers on it. And then, my pepper is connected to my tomato. I don't want that. I'm not sure if those tomatoes, if they're going to grow right there. We'll have to wait and see. I may have planted these things too close together. We'll have to wait and see. This is my first time trying this in a Greenstalk, so we're learning. This little tomato in here that this pepper is trying to push out, I'm going to get rid of some of these leaves, and so maybe it won't flush out this. This is a Bundaberg Rumball. And it's also, I think, a true micro dwarf because it's not getting tall. And I think a lot of these have popped off, so tomatoes are not going to grow here. But I do have one tomato growing right here, and I've got lots of other flowers. I'm going to pull this leaf off too because it is encroaching on the tomato. I don't want encroachment. I think that's what happened over here. It knocked all the leaves off. And then this is one of the dwarf Greek basils that I have here. And it is small right now because I recently harvested it. I've got several others in here, and I've recently harvested a lot from this Greenstalk of the basil. It's in my dehydrator. So then this one and the next one are Purple Boy tomatoes. And I think, I don't know if this one's going to fall off or not. I do have a third support if I need it. I don't have any tomatoes lower than where I put this bottom tier. So if I end up needing it for this one at the top, I do have a third support I can put up. And this one may also benefit from that support because it has gotten really tall. It is, I was wrong on the other side, because when I said I thought the raspberry beret was a true dwarf, yeah, I don't think it is. Because this one, this is the top of it right here, and it is in this pocket. I don't know if you can tell, it's in the second layer tier. This is also a raspberry beret, and it has gotten, unless I mislabeled, which is always possible. This one is also a raspberry beret, but it has gotten really tall. So I don't know if my other side is just not getting as much. It's getting sun, so I don't know. Maybe I mislabeled one of them. So who knows? We'll find out. But this one has definitely bigger than the other one. I'm gonna pull off that sucker because this has so many suckers already. I don't need more. It does kind of make me sad because I see flowers on them, but I've just got too much on this plant. I don't want it to fall over. And then I've got some miscolored leaves down here that are turning yellow. We're gonna go ahead and pull them off. Okay, so to clear some of that out, and I don't want suckers on this Purple Boy either. All right, so here's the other Purple Boy, and it has some unhappy leaves we're gonna pull off, and I just uncovered some tomatoes. Oh, come on. Oh, why are you not wanting to come off? Usually my leaves pop right off. Why are you not wanting? There we go. Sorry. There we go. You can see I've got some nice tomatoes right there. I can't tell if that's, okay, that's a leaf. Okay, then this one, this pepper is also another Bohemian Baron that's growing right here. It's got lots of flowers, but I don't see any peppers yet. But it does have a lot of flowers. And then this is the other Bohemian Baron that I'm hoping this tomato will not mess with now that I've moved it up. We'll pull that leaf off of that pepper. And then you can see on this down here, peppers for some reason get a lot of leaves at the bottom, at least here that's been my experience. So I have been pulling them off just because I don't want a lot of leaf. I don't know what to call it, a lot of leaf congestion down around the bottom because I want that airflow. All right, so then coming down, this is a little Napoli, or Napoli. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. My brother-in-law says Napoli. I've always said Napoli. I don't know. But you can see it's got lots of little tomatoes on it. And then this is the same plant that has these bigger tomatoes on it. This is a paste type, so that'll give me more I can. Then over here's the little red Corvette we already talked about, the tomato. And then coming around, this is a sweetie pie pepper. It is a sweet pepper, Prism that I talked about before is also a sweet pepper. I have both sweet and hot in this Greenstalk. This is another sweetie pie pepper right here. The sweetie pies, I'm not seeing peppers yet, but I do see lots of flowers. And then this is another of the dwarf Greek basil. And we already talked about the little Napolis or little Napolis. Then coming on down, this is a Sedona Sun, which is a hot pepper. And you can see I've actually getting peppers on it already. That's another dwarf Greek basil. I think I have 4 total of the basils in this Greenstalk. Down here, this one that I already showed you and this one that we talked about that were under the tomatoes, they're called Wicked. They are a hot pepper, and you can see they start out purple. Then coming around, this one is a Samba Yellow, and I don't have pepper. Oh, I do have a pepper. I do have a pepper. I don't know if the stalk's in the way, but I do have a pepper in there started. That's also a hot one. This tier down here is hot peppers. This one is a little bit taller, and it's got a lot of leaves down here at the bottom. See what I was talking about? You can see a lot of leaves at the bottom. This one is called a fruit gum, and I believe it is an orange pepper when it's ripe. I got a lot of these. Actually, I got all of these pepper seeds from Seed Obsession on Etsy. I am a member of many of the Obsession groups on Facebook. They have so many of them. I will share them in the link for this video. So if any of you are interested in joining them, I believe his name is Tony Thatcher, that is admin for for all those groups. And he's also the one that runs the Seed Obsession. He actually creates a lot of these pepper crosses. And so I would highly recommend, if you're interested in peppers, that you check it out. So that Greenstalk I have pretty well covered. And so far, I am very pleased with how things are growing, especially now that I've got the supports on it. So now I'm going to close this up. This is my supports trash. I still have one more, like I said. So now we're going to go over here. This other Greenstalk over here is my green bean Greenstalk. I have already harvested from this twice, and it still has green beans on it, and it's still producing more green beans. So this has gone very well. I'm actually planning on starting at least one more green bean Greenstalk. My daughter and my husband really like green beans, and so does my mom. So trying to grow a lot so I can. Then this raised bed is my tomatoes and sweet peppers mostly. Now you can see I do have a pretty snapdragon right here. I've got snapdragons on the edges. I've planted a lot more flowers, as I've talked about in previous videos, this year, trying to bring in pollinators. So in the middle, I've got zinnias, I've got marigolds. Along the back, you can see some of them are just starting to reach the height of the trellis. These are cherry tomatoes. They're looking really, really good. Then I've got my sweet peppers here in the middle. I've got a few onions in here. I've got chives. I've got a sweet basil. And I've also got a sugar kiss cantaloupe. And the plan for this cantaloupe is it will grow out over this. What I'm going to be doing in probably the next few weeks, before the end of the month, I am going to get some professional weed barrier fabric. We're going to move the green stalks very carefully, probably just a layer at a time. And I may not be able to move the blue one. I may have to go around it because it's so heavy with the plants now. But I want to put the weed barrier fabric down so that when, not only to block all the weeds and the grass, but also when the plants start coming over the edge of the beds, that they'll be on the fabric instead of just the ground. That to me just kind of, to me that will help with bugs not getting all over the plants and the fruit. We'll see. And my goal eventually is to bring in either wood mulch or gravel and make this like completely covered. You can see this, that's the stump from the pecan tree. If you watch some of my earlier videos, I did talk about the pecan tree that was here. I hated to get rid of it because it was a healthy tree, but it had gotten so big, the branches were actually, some of the branches were actually rubbing on the roof, and we didn't want it to mess up the roof. And the roots, we actually have a small septic tank over here near the house, and some of the roots had already pushed into the septic tank that was there, and we'd already had to replace it. So for those two reasons, we had to get rid of the tree. As much as I hated it, because pecan trees do remind me of my grandparents. They had pecan trees in their yard and I loved it. But this one had to go. I still have 2 pecan trees. There's one right there and there's one over there. But I never get pecans from them because I have a million squirrels. And especially now that I've expanded this garden so much, I don't fight the squirrels for the pecans because we don't eat them that much, in hopes that they will leave my garden alone. I had a cage over my tomatoes last year in fighting them. This year I had so many extra tomato plants that I planted some over there on that side in this area. If I get tomatoes from them, I will be very, very happy, but I'm also okay if the squirrels end up taking those, as long as they leave these alone. So we'll see. Over here is, this raised bed is this is a hodgepodge of stuff. I have 2 I have 3 Sugar Kiss cantaloupes in here. I really thought that one was going to die because it was so little. But we went through a spell where we got a lot of rain, and I think that really helped bring that little one back. And then right here is a dahlia. It's already put one beautiful flower up. It may be in some earlier videos from before the rain. But after the rain, it just demolished it. But it does have some more starting right here and right here. So that makes me happy. I've got a lemon basil right here. Marigold. This row right here is tomatoes. I've got 2 Paul Robeson, which are new to me. I've got, I think this one is a purple bumblebee, purple bumblebee, which is also new. And then that one on the end is just a beefsteak. My husband likes the beefsteaks. Then I've got snapdragons here in the middle. Another purple bumblebee tomato. More snapdragons. I've got onions over there on that side. That tomato right there is a Campari. More snapdragons. Then I've got a black brandywine tomato and a pineapple tomato. This is a, quote, pizza oregano. I'm not sure if it's different from my other oreganos, but I was intrigued, so I put that right there. Then I have onions. I have cucumbers. And I put some basil seed here. And I think, if you look, I think I've got some basil that has sprouted. And then that is a nasturtium over there. And I'm going to go a little closer for this one, because This one has red flowers, and I love it. So this bed, tomatoes, cantaloupe, snapdragons, onions, some basil, and I got cucumbers that are gonna grow up the arch trellis. Then the bed right next to it, on the other side of the arch, I have 2 loofahs, which are growing up very well. And then I've got cucumbers. I've got some more tomatoes. I've got 2 San Marzanos right here, and I've got 2 super sauce right there. Then I've got basil on the end over there. It's a sweet basil over there. I don't know if you can tell. I've got zinnias. This is a Rutgers tomato. That over there is an eggplant. I've got snapdragons in the middle. This is another black brandywine. I've got onions. I've got a holy basil. Then I've got some more sweet peppers. I've got a yellow one. Actually, I've got 2 yellow ones right here. And I've got rainbow sunshine, and I've got a red bell pepper over there. These 2 are zucchinis. And these were not doing well at all. And you can tell that it's got some darker dirt around it. I put some compost around them to see if that would help perk things up, and it seems to have done that. I think they were not happy in the raised bed soil for whatever reason, so I put some compost over it. They seem to be doing much happier. Then over here is my squash, mainly squash bed. I've got 2 patty pans on the end here. The tomato in the middle is a Cherokee purple. I've got onions. I've got zinnias. I've got a basil. And then these 6 squash in the middle are called Smooth Criminal. And they actually are designed to grow more vertically than bush out. They still bush. But you can see, I'm going to go in closer on this one. I think I have squash that have pollinated and seem to be growing. My fingers are crossed, I've got some. Then I've got a nasturtium, which is, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a yellow with red on it. It's pretty. These are zinnias, which you can see I've got one that's about to flower. I had one over here that already flowered. It was a pink one. I don't know if all of these are going to be the same color because I did buy them. I got these from Azure, and I got them in the same 4-pack, so I don't know if they're all the same or if they're going to be different colors. And then this over here is calendula. I've already had a bunch of these pop up, and some have deadheaded. I need to deadhead some of these others, get them off. And it looks like I've got one that's about to pop open right here. So that is, I call this one my squash bed because it is mainly squash. I've got zinnias in the middle. And I've got some weeds in here I need to pull. So that covers 4 of the raised beds. I've got 2 left. I'm going to be seed starting probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to start pumpkins. This bed is not planted out. You can see over here, there's nothing on this end, and there's a lot of room over there. This is going to be my pumpkin bed. But you can see I've got a lot of chamomile growing in here. From what I read, chamomile grows well with pumpkins, so that's why I put the chamomile in here. I've got some onions. I've got some zinnias. This is another zucchini. I did plant some basil seed that I think has sprouted. Another zinnia. I've got a couple of calendulas. But this bed I will finish planting out probably the end of the month to beginning of July. I will have pumpkins. I'm also going to have pumpkins in some of the corners where I left empty spots. And the idea is for them to grow out of the bed like I talked about the cantaloupe over there. And this is my tomato bed. This is is getting really full. I may have overcrowded this one, so I'm having to be sure I really keep things pruned to keep airflow going through here. And I've pinched off a lot of suckers. But along the back are my slicing tomatoes. And you can see some of them have gotten tall enough. I'm starting to put them up. I'm starting to weave them up the trellis. And I've only got a couple that are not tall enough. They are close. Then on the end, which I really have been growing up the trellis, these are tomatillas. And they are well up the trellis. I've got marigold. I've got a couple snapdragons on the ends. In the middle are my paste type tomatoes. These are like my Roma types. And these I hope to use for canning. Over here in this bed, the only place I've got a lot of tomatoes already forming is that Greenstalk over there. The beds, I have a lot of flowers on the tomatoes, but I don't have a lot of tomatoes yet. I did notice earlier when I was starting to weave some of the plants that I do have, I believe it was a Cherokee Purple, tomato started. So they're coming along. We haven't hit double digits on the dates yet in June. So we're still early June. So we still got plenty of time for these plants to produce tomatoes. Over there you can see I've got my 2 grape plants that I'm just trying to keep alive, as we've talked about. My asparagus patch is looking beautiful. I did plant comfrey. I can't remember if I said that on the last video, but I had 2 comfrey plants, and I read that comfrey grows well with asparagus, so I planted them in here. And I also believe I was right that these are seed pods. For the asparagus, they are starting to turn, and I think they turn red. And I'm okay if they drop and we get more asparagus. Some people don't like them and they pull them out. I am okay with them dropping and putting more asparagus in here. My herb garden right here. My rosemary that I cut back very much is starting to bush out some. Makes me happy. I've got sage, oregano. I've already harvested from this once. It's obviously ready for me to harvest again. And thyme. My black raspberries are going crazy. They definitely will be up potted to bigger pots. Or actually, I may just put these in the ground. Because they have gotten so big, I think these are going in the ground. My St. John's wort is growing beautifully right here in this little pot. But I don't even have the starts of any flowers. So I don't know that I'll get any. This is my spilanthes or toothache plant. You can see I am starting to get some flowers, these little yellow spots. Then over here are melons and onions. The melons are starting to grow really well. I don't have any melons on them yet, but they are growing. So I've been getting them up the trellis, and some of it you can see is going across the bottom. I may not be able to get everything on the trellis. We'll see. Then I've also got a marigold in there. This nasturtium is just beautiful, but it has gotten huge. It's actually in the grow bag and it has cascaded down, but I think it's beautiful. And then these have come back. These are I found out these are the snapdragons, but they're little bitty ones, and they're coming back beautifully. You can look down the row here. This is my cucumber trellis. Cucumbers are going crazy. I have already pulled several cucumbers off that are growing. I've got several more I need to pull. Then on this side, I've got okra in the middle that I'm trying to keep the cucumber leaves. I see I've got some more I need to pull off from shading out the okra. And then I've got onions that are growing beautifully in the front. Onions right here are growing really well. I've got some green beans mixed in, or bush beans. I think they're all green beans. But you can see the onions are doing great. I do have a couple of zinnias in there. I think I've got yep, I think that's a dahlia right there. So I threw in some stuff in areas where the onions didn't make it. Then I've got more beans over here. And my watermelons are doing great. There's 2 right there coming off that watermelon. And if you look over here, whoops, this is my sweet potatoes. I've got 3 bags of sweet potatoes, and they are doing great. This other bag over there, I was gonna plant more in, but I ended up giving those plants to my wonderful friend Kenyana. And so I'm gonna dump that dirt into smaller bags and plant something else. Then I'm gonna go along the back side of this and then we'll go back in. This is more green beans, bush beans, some of them maybe pinto beans. I've got stuff all mixed in here. And this is another zucchini. I don't have any zucchini yet, but I have had flowers, so that makes me happy. Over here are some of those tomatoes that I said, the extras that I planted, that I would love to get tomatoes from, but if I don't, if the squirrels take them, I'm okay if they take these, if they leave the other ones alone. Then we've got onions mixed in. I've got some basil, more bean plants, more tomatoes. This bean plant I've got to move over because this is a geranium that I put there. Then I've got more basil. I've got another tomato. This is another zucchini. And this one has right here and right here the starts of zucchinis. So hopefully those will pollinate and grow. Then I've got some zinnias in here, more onions, more beans. Then over here, we're on the back side of my hot pepper bed. And this is 3 watermelon plants that are growing. Let's see if I can back it up. That are growing over. And then I've got onions mixed in as well. Here's some more of those tomatoes I talked about. And this, I read about it, and so I decided to try it. You can't tell in the other beds because I had things digging up the beds. So I bought some fake snakes. And I've just got 4 of them laying across in these beds. And so far, I haven't seen any more digging. So I don't know if they're going to work or not. I figured, hey, if it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, oh well. But that, you can see I'm starting to get a tomato right here. This is a black strawberry. The 2 on the ends are black strawberries. The one in the middle is a rosella, which is all 3 of these are a cherry type. And I'm going to carefully walk through here because I don't want to step on these watermelons. I've got onions, zinnias, again, watermelons. There's another fake snake in there. And then I've got, another pretty zinnia. That one's just opened. That's a hot pink one. I've got an okra. I've got basil. I've got another basil on the other end down there. Like I said, I harvested these not long ago. And then this, you can see, I've got lots of peppers. This first pocket is my cayenne peppers. And I've already harvested a couple of cayenne peppers, but I've got lots more peppers growing right here. This, I think I overcrowded. So I'm trying to keep airflow through here. But I've got 3 Aji strawberry peppers. And then I've got, this small one here was one that should have been in the Greenstalk, and I missed it. It is a lemon zest. It is a dwarf. It's not going to get near as big as these, so I don't know if it's going to do well. This is a Sugar Rush peach. I'm starting to get peppers on it. From what I understand, they take forever to ripen, so That one will sit there for a good while. Then in the middle, these are my super hots. I've got 3 Apocalypse Scorpion, and I've got 1 fried chicken. Again, I think I overcrowded, but you know, it is what it is. And I believe if we get really close, I don't know if you can see it. I can't see it on the video, but there's a ladybug. And I can't, oh, there it is. There it is, right there, a ladybug. Ladybugs are very good for the garden. They eat bugs that are not good for your garden. So I'm always happy when I see ladybugs and praying mantises and dragonflies. I love seeing those in my garden. Of course, I love seeing the bees too, because that's the pollinators, and the butterflies and all that. Over here, I've got my ghost pepper mixed in with some onions. I am starting to get little flowers on this one, so hopefully we'll have peppers. This is okra. There's 2 okra in here with onions. And then this is my watermelon plant that has gotten the biggest. And I have a large watermelon growing right here. These are sugar baby watermelons, so they're not going to get really big. For me, that's large. But it is growing well. And like I said, I've got 2 more on the other side. And I think I've got 1 hanging on the bottom of that branch. So things are going really well in the garden. You can see some of these cucumbers I need to pull. There's a couple of them in here. See, there's a couple of them right there I probably need to pull. Calendula is doing really well right here. I also found a volunteer basil, so I moved it to that pocket right there. That area will have more pumpkins in it after I start the seeds and get the starts. Then over this way, oh, my cat's gonna make me fall. I have these concrete blocks I'm gonna end up moving. But you can see I've got echinacea right here that has popped up. I think that down there is a different kind of echinacea. Then over here I've got more chamomile, feverfew, lemon balm, and basil. Over here I've got yarrow and echinacea that looks like it's ready to flower right here, right there. And then I've also got bee balm that has already flowered. The purple ones I need to deadhead down there at the bottom. I don't know if you can see them. But I've got a beautiful red one right here that is looking so pretty. I'm hoping my camera doesn't die on me while I'm out here because it's starting to get warm. So up here, my lantanas have popped back. They're flowering. I think in the last video I talked about how they were showing seed pods, and I pulled them off and it worked. They're now flowering again. I've got onions. This is more geranium. Then I've got my herbs: peppermint, orange balm, strawberry mint, chocolate mint, and horehound. This is another sweet pepper bed with onions mixed in, and marigold and zinnias. It is doing beautifully. Again, I may have overcrowded, but I'm keeping airflow. We'll see. That is catnip right there. This is another lantana that I got planted. In the back here is spearmint. This right here are the 3 volunteer tomatillas, and they're doing really well. Here are some more tomatoes that I planted that are looking great. I've got another lantana that is flowering beautifully. My rhubarb is looking good, and I've got strawberries right there. Then my woolly lamb's ear is looking really good. Over here is my strawberry bed that's in the back, and you can see I have got lots of strawberries that are growing. These are ever bearing, so they just keep growing because I've got flowers right back there, you can see. And then the onions up here are just looking fantastic. See how big that one's getting? And then this is a runner that I'm rooting to give me another strawberry plant. And then back here, more strawberries. I got some really good onions growing. And then this over here, I haven't cleaned up my mess from where I had all my seed starts. But this is a rose mallow hibiscus, I believe. The pictures are really, really pretty. So I'm hoping it grows well. And there's my cat. So that's it for the backyard. I will get a video of the front very soon and put all this together for you. Now I'm back at the front. So I'm gonna turn this around so I can show y'all what's going on in the garden up in the front yard. Okay, so here we are at the purple greenstalk, and the lavender is really coming along really good this year. It's the first year I've had lavender to flower, so it makes me really happy. It is kind of big, so I think I'm gonna move this to the ground in the fall when it goes dormant, but we'll see. Lettuce is growing well. It's a little slow growing, but you know, you take what you can get. Down here is dill, which is looking fairly good. Down here is chamomile. Then to the sides, I've got celery. Getting kind of big. I don't know if it's just because it's in the green stalk. I've seen celery be thicker than this. So it might just be because it's in the green stalk. I don't know. Then I've got more lettuce up here. And then this is the parsley that went to flower. And I've kind of left it alone. I'm gonna see if I can save seeds from it. We'll find out. And the cilantro also bolted and it went to flower. So this green stalk, I did not get all the pockets filled. I think when I start putting out fall crops, I think I'm gonna put some I think I'm gonna put baby beets in this and see how they grow. Now I'm coming down to the front of the front porch area. It's looking good. I have 2 mulleins here. I have broadleaf plantain. I have elecampane back there, which they'll grow big. I don't know if they grow as tall as sunflowers, but they do grow tall. All of these are medicinal plants, so I look forward to being able to harvest them and use them. This right here is milkweed, and we came home the other day, and I pulled up and I looked at the bed here, and I said, "Why does that look like a snake?" Well, because it's a snake skin, and I have not moved it out yet, but yeah, snake skin right there, right beside the lemon balm. Then I've got marshmallow right there. I've got yarrow. Got some more lavender. This is basil right here. Then I've got more lavender. I've got some weeds I've got to pull too, I can see. This is bee balm, echinacea in the front. More bee balm right there. My husband was cleaning the mats to his truck. That's why they're on the porch. Then I've got black-eyed Susans, which are flowering. And they're looking pretty. Then I've got, this is a garlic chives. And then this is an Italian oregano that flowered really quickly. I've never had oregano flower this quickly, so I don't know. And then that's rosemary. And that pretty well covers the front medicinal garden. Most of these are medicinal. The black-eyed Susans, I think, are medicinal, but I'm not sure what for. I have to research that. The main reason I planted them is I wanted to bring in dragonflies. And dragonflies supposedly like black-eyed Susans. So that's why they're there. Then if you come over here, you can see I did deadhead my rose bush from last time, so we're starting to get some new blooms there, some new buds. This is the pink lemonade blueberry. My blackberry, we have harvested a few from. You can see there's a couple more ready, but it looks like I'm getting some more. So I don't know if it keeps going for a while. I don't know. I've never grown blackberry like this. So anyone that has, let me know. Does it just keep producing, kind of like my strawberries did? I don't know. These are raspberries. Again, I've never even gotten flowers from the raspberries. So I'm not sure if it's because they need bigger pots, if they just need to go in the ground. I don't know. That's another pink lemonade blueberry. I have decided the blueberries are going in the ground in the fall when they go dormant. So are these raspberries, because they have gotten a good bit bigger. These over here are designed for containers. These are from, I think the brand is Bushel and Berry. They're like a raspberry shortcake, I think is the name. But they're designed for containers, but I do think they need a bigger container. So those are getting up potted next year. These are going in the ground. I've just got to keep them far away from the black raspberries in the back. From everything I've read and all, you don't want your black raspberries near your red raspberries, because black raspberries are apparently more prone to disease. And if they get it, you don't want them to pass it to your red raspberries. So I have these in the front. The black raspberries you saw in the video earlier, they are in the backyard. Then if we come over here, we have the strawberry Greenstalks. And there are lots of strawberries growing. I have onions in here, but I have several empty pockets as well. So what I'm doing is I'm putting runners. As they grow, I'm just kind of hooking them to, I'm using bobby pins. I think I talked about this in the last video with those little cups, which Greenstalk just came out with, and they're so cute. But they're good for rooting your strawberry runners. So the ones that are in there are probably ready for me to cut loose from the mother plant and put in its own pocket, and then I can use the cups for new runners. But things are looking good in the strawberry Greenstalks. And like I said, I've got onions. Then I've got this blueberry bush, which I never got blueberries from. Now there are little things that look like blueberries on it. So I don't know if those are gonna ripen, if they're gonna get a little bigger and ripen. I don't know. We shall see. But this one it's supposed to be for containers, but I think it would need a much bigger container. I did up pot it this year, but I think we got to go even bigger, or I may put it in the ground. I haven't decided yet. But that pretty well covers the front. I don't have near as much in the front as I do in the back, and that's okay. I think what I'm gonna do is where I'm standing right here in front of this little porch is I'm gonna put, I've got some 8-foot raised beds that are only a foot high. The ones in the back are 2 feet high. The ones I got are only a foot high. So I'm honestly thinking I may put one of those right here, cover all this. These came back again. So we're gonna cut those down. We're gonna cover this with weed barrier, put the raised bed down and put soil. And I think I may put either some of the raspberries or maybe the blueberries right here. I haven't decided yet. But we're definitely going to put something in front of this porch next year. So that is the front. You can see my mess of a hose. I want one of those that you can hook like to the house and it's got like it pulls out and goes back in. I'd love to get one of those, but we're not there yet. I think I cut that off a little quick. I was like, we're not there yet. I cut it off before I even finished talking. But that's the June garden tour. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll try to remember to put up the links that I mentioned earlier. And I'd love any comments, tips, any suggestions. If you want to share the channel with your friends, I'd love it. And I'll see you next time.